So what are you going to do with that?
We're gonna plant it.
And what is that seed?
It's a jackfruit seed.
What's your favorite fruit?
I'd have to say either poha or strawberries.
Okay. How long have you been working with Ken?
2-3 years, I think.
Okay, cool. And what do you like best about the work?
I get to work with plants and I get to learn a lot of stuff.
Yeah, really.
I wouldn't have been able to otherwise.
That's true. Okay. What was your name?
Xavier.
Xavier. Where are you from?
I'm from here.
Hi, I'm Ken Love. I'm the Executive Director of Hawaii Tropical Fruit Growers. Been farming in Hawaii since the early 80s, and I love it.
Okay, good. So, I hear the way you got into this was you were a photographer that was going to Japan and other places, and you stopped in Hawaii, and then you got into coffee. So tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. History. Well, I got sent out here first to do a story on the Kona coffee industry, and then, like so many folks, I got suckered into that mystique. And not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but I found after 10 years of growing coffee it wasn't really profitable, and plus I like to eat fruit even more than I like to drink coffee. While we were still in Chicago, I'd have to commute to Tokyo for my job as a news photographer, and stop here, work on the farm. On the way back, I'd stop here and work on the farm, and after a while, why am I stopping here working on the farm? Why don't we live here? And then it's a lot shorter commute. And eventually I gave most of that up just to do the farming.
Okay, actually your first farming was actually in your backyard.
Well, yeah, I worked summers on my uncle's farm in Indiana, and even back in the 50s my great aunt taught me how to can, go out and pick blueberries and cucumbers and go inside and make pie filling and can that, and then we'd make dill pickles and can that, and can green beans in her high pressure canner. And so I've been doing that for over 50 years, and we brought this Master Food Preservers program to Hawaii in order to teach that canning as a way to use off-grade fruits and vegetables, and add to the sustainability of farmers who sell at local markets.
Yeah, well, because added value is so important.
Exactly. So yeah, we can can just about everything, and we've taught the classes a number of times on all the islands except Oahu. They're usually grant funded or grant based because it costs a lot. It's 8 full days can be spread over 8 weeks, and the folks learn how to make all of these different things, as well as get food safety certification. And they go home with 50-60 jars of things that they've canned and made.
Well, do they bring their own produce in?
No, we provide everything. So that's why it without grant funding it costs about $500 a person, and then with it it's usually $100 to $200.
And then there's plans on this site to also have education, community education and canning area.
Yeah, well, we've given the class here 5 or 6 times, I think.
Here on the site.
Yeah, some here, some in local community kitchens, church kitchens, I should say.
No, but I read somewhere that you were thinking of putting.
we were trying to I know what it takes now to turn this into a certified kitchen here. I just don't have the $30,000 to finish it. We have all the equipment, but to make it certified, we don't have those funds yet. And now they're putting the kitchen in at the charter school close by eventually, and that'll provide a community kitchen for growers too.
Okay. Then I also heard that in the very beginning, you were planting beans in your backyard.
Oh yeah,
Your
to
dad-
bring to my kindergarten teacher.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I remember, and I dug up the lawn and got whipped pretty good for that one. It's, that's
But
the
it
way
didn't deter you.
No, it's still. Now I'm just whipped after a long day, but.
Well, since we're a little bit on added value, where is she right now?
Right now she's at the Kehoe Farmers Market.
And what is she selling?
She's selling a lot of bizarre tropical fruits from this orchard and from a place that we manage, and it's and some of the jams and jellies that we do make. She can sell.
Okay. How many people are in the Hawaii Tropical Fruit Growers
Well,
Association?
HTFG started in 1989. In 2 weeks, we'll have our 28th annual Hawaii International Conference on Oahu. It changes islands every year. Next year, it should be in Kona, and you're welcome to come film that. We have next year the speakers should be from Brazil, but this year we have Peter Solaris from Australia, Steve Murray from California, who are both well-known fruit growers, who are commercial growers. It's so a lot of our folks, we have about 800 members statewide. I mean, a large chapter even on Molokai. So we try to have a little bit for everyone, whether you're a backyard grower or a small family farm or a larger commercial grower or even just a rare fruit tree collector. There's people who just do that, and so we're kind of always juggling priorities to appeal to have something to appeal to all of those different groups.
On Molokai, where do they distribute, where do they sell the fruit?
Well, I mean, they have a farmer's market on Saturday mornings, and they do a lot of value-added product. We've had 4 classes on Molokai. People can, when they visit there, they have something to take home, or when the locals visit elsewhere, they have something to bring as gifts, that's from Molokai. They ship to Maui frequently, and then sometimes to Oahu. They have, still travel to Japan a lot, and if you had asked me 10 years ago where the best watermelon is, I would, nothing will ever beat Japan and the quality of their watermelon.
Or the price.
Yeah, well, the price is, that's all, those expensive ones were less than 1% of the crop, so that's more a gift and a cultural thing, but the average watermelon is probably cheaper there than it is here. But the amazing thing is the quality of Molokai watermelons. I mean, it's just absolutely the best. It beats Japan. I couldn't believe that this wasn't a Japanese melon the first time I had one on Molokai. So those growers have really got it together. They have a couple great extension agents on Molokai too, for UH, who've really helped them up the quality. So I think that's one of the reasons we have a large chapter there.
Okay, cool. So what other support do farmers, whether they be commercial or backyarders?
Well, we work with the USDA and different departments within the USDA. We work a lot with the State Department of Ag, who's just been fantastic. Since Abercrombie took over back then, he really revitalized the Department of Ag and really had it so that it worked successfully with farmers. I mean, I really feel for the first time in 30 years that the Department of Ag really empowers growers now to do things, to provide funding for projects of interest to growers and not just interest to geneticists and scientists. So, you know, or big commercial farmers. They're interested in helping the small, sustainable family farms to remain sustainable and become more sustainable.
I was actually talking to one Extension Ag agent, and I was talking about I think I said it was the longan.
Longan, yeah.
Yeah, but it may have been lychee. But in Taiwan, there was this tree that was producing a couple times a year.
Oh yeah, Dr. Shi. Well, actually, it wasn't Dr. Shi. It was a friend of Dr. Shi's at the Wufang Agriculture Research Station in Taichung. And he'd walk to the office every day, and he always wondered, why is this longan always got fruit and flowers on it? Well, at home, you know, I'm lucky to get it every year or so. So actually, we brought him here for a conference, probably 15 years ago now, to explain this whole use of potassium.
Firecrackers.
So, yeah, exactly. What he found out is, this longan was at the church, and they always do the firecrackers under the longan tree, and that helped that thing fly. I got next door when Mr. Matoki was still with us. He said that longan tree hasn't fruited in 30 years. I said, okay, I'll get it to fruit this year.
Great.
And then I want to eat some. So we swept up all of Mr. Tanaka's fireworks paper after New Year's and threw it under the longan tree, and that was it. It fruited.
Great.
So it's all it takes. You don't have to always buy the potassium. Of course, that's one. It was 2 trees actually. You know, if you got an orchard with 50 trees, it's kind of hard, but you can use the same components of the potassium I forget which potassium, chlorate or whatever, but that helps it to. I mean, fertilizing is just amazing in general what that can do. The reason the Molokai watermelons are so sweet is they start adding potassium. I mean 0,050 to it to sweeten it up. That potassium also triggers the flowering in mango, and it makes the citrus sweeter. So there's a lot of things that.
But would the potassium work for all the same family, or
just longan?
Okay,
it doesn't work for lychee.
Yeah. Okay.
So lychee, yeah, if we could get lychee to fruit more than once a year, boy, that would sure be a winner.
Here. What about rambutan?
Rambutan can sometimes fruit 2-3 times a year. You know, on the mainland, and this is the hardest thing for chefs to understand, and arguably they're our most important market for growers here. On the mainland, when your apple or your peach or plum, when they flower, they'll know within 3 days when you're going to pick it. We don't know if we're going to have 1 crop a year or 5 crops a year. I mean, I'm already on the 3rd crop of egg fruit, which is pretty much unheard of to get that much, and it only was September, so we might even get a 4th crop in before the end of the year.
Are there any on the tree now?
Yeah, a couple.
Okay, I'll take a shot a little later.
Okay. Same with Chipote Cava. I mean, 1 or 5 crops. Guava, 1 to 5 crops.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a repository system thanks to a Department of Ag grant, and it's enabled us to develop 2 acre plots so far on Molokai. We have one in Honomu, just north of Hilo, in Honanao here in Kona. This place is kind of the mother repository that supplies trees for the other, and we have one at the National Tropic Botanic Garden on Kauai, and then we partner with the Urban Garden Center in Pearl City to supply them some trees, and The new grants and aid that we received from the state legislature, that will enable us to build up the repositories a little more and develop one on Maui.
So then you have them on all the main islands.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, we're even working with the company on Lanai to supply them some other trees as well.
And so then, along with that, I guess you do grafting and air layering.
Yeah, we have classes through Maona Community Garden in Honau now, and we teach grafting and air layering and other types of plant propagation through their different programs.
What tropical fruit do you use where you actually clone?
Well, it depends on how you define clone.
Well, not air layering.
Oh, just cuttings, you mean?
I guess.
Yeah, so cuttings, actually I wrote a guide for UH that you can find online on plant propagation, and it tells which type of tree is better to graft or to air layer or to take cuttings or just take seeds.
Remind me to get that later.
All right, well, you got to find it online.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's it like acerola, for example, sometimes called Barbados cherry, or pomegranate. Those work well from cuttings. The pomegranates that the big box stores bring in are often California varieties, and they don't produce here, and so or produce very well. There's a couple local ones that people have had and cloned over the years like that, which do produce well.
Okay.
The Facebook page is really for everybody, although we sponsor it, and I got about 5,000 people on it. So, and I wish they were all members of the fruit growers, but they're from dozens of different countries and just interested in what we're doing here. And that's enabled some of our members to trade seeds and things. It's pretty easy to get the USDA permit to bring seeds in from other countries. So, yeah, you just go online, fill it out, and they send you a permit, and then the people send the seeds.
They don't have to dust it or anything?
No.
Wow. Okay.
For small seed lots, yeah, it's permissible.
But can't that bring in pathogens or?
Not it's very rare in the seeds. Some seeds aren't like no citrus seeds are permitted, for example. No coconuts are permitted. So those carry disease and pathogens.
Okay. Some people describe you as a locavore.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Explain what a locavore is.
Well, I'm kind of one thing we do at the fruit growers, if we have a conference at a hotel, I demand that the lettuce and the things that they serve is grown locally. And there have been times at some hotels that it hasn't been. I said, we don't grow iceberg lettuce like this. You cannot make salad with iceberg lettuce. And I refused to pay one hotel $8,000 because they didn't follow the contract that they had signed.
Right.
And 90% of the time, I'm friends with the chefs. I used to be president of the Konokohala Chefs Association, and my son's the executive sous chef at the Hilton, Naniloa, now in Hilo. And and he's been cooking here 20 years already. Worked for Peter Merriman and for Roy and Hilton and the Prince and Mauna Kea, and he went to this restaurant to open it at Naniloa. And what he does next, I have no idea.
Well, actually, it was Rodale. What I first read about is this: you should always see if your food comes within 100 miles.
Yeah, exactly.
And they were the ones who pushed that in the
Yeah.
very beginning.
Here, it's different because we have to send stuff different to different islands, and we have you know, on so many microclimates that we can. There's a lot of things we can't grow at most of the locations where there are farms. Now, sometime I'd like to see the state develop farmland at 5,000 feet, for example, and we could grow our own plums and peaches and things better than we can grow some now at these elevations, but not particularly good ones. So we've got the 10,000 tree project, which is technically just finished, and they accepted the final report, and we wound up in the last 2.5 years distributing over 12,000 trees at average of $20 a tree, you know, for grafted mango and avocado and citrus. And it's just been, the idea being we can, you know, we have to grow more of our own food. I mean, we grow and sell 1 million pounds of avocados, and we bring in 4 million pounds. You know, we grow and sell, I think it's 3 million pounds of oranges and bring in 14 million pounds. I mean, there's 4 million pounds of lemons we bring into the state. I mean, I'd like to sell 4 million pounds of anything legal, you know. There's so, I mean, it's a good time to be in ag and to do this because of the whole, like you mentioned, the locavore movement. Right now we can really do that, and there's a demand for local produce. But if there's no trees, there's not going to be fruit. So we've got to get trees in the ground. That's the first step. And as those trees are growing like they're doing now with Ulu, they have the Ulu Cooperative, and that's doing a great job in getting Ulu back into the marketplace, back into people's homes and on menus at the restaurants and hotel restaurants, and people are very aware of it. My son buys 200 pounds of Ulu a week to make Ulu French fries. So we need
great potato salad.
Oh yeah,
Ulu salad.
Ulu salad, yeah. Well, I like Ulu poi, so I'm kind of old-fashioned. I just wait for them to get ripe and mushy, and then I just grind that because it's ono. Especially with some of the new varieties that were brought in for Ulu, like Ma'afala, and the work that Diane Ragoni's done from the Breadfruit Institute on Kauai, and to identify all these different varieties of Ulu. I mean, there's a lot of choices out there and a lot of things that we can do with it. But we need to do that with a lot of other fruit. I mean, they have, you know, we have to approach things on different fronts. So we have this growing things that we know we're going to use, like avocados and oranges and tangerines. At the same time, we have to look to develop new markets for things like the finger limes and Ouray or Davidsonian plum, which is not a plum, by the way. It tastes like a natural umeboshi. It's really really pretty good. But you know, when we tested it with the chefs, they just went nuts for it. I mean, because we think, oh, what you can eat out of hand and what's sweet, but they think of well, what sauces they can make, you know, and reductions and coulis and decorations, and you know, what adds color, like the rich purple of this Davidsonian plum. You know, it's a little sour purple thing they can put on the plate to decorate it, and put a piece of fish in it to get that flavor. And
there was a book that was written, and it had a lot of you in it, and you actually made Hollywood.
Oh yeah.
Give us a little story.
Oh, the Fruit Hunters. That was a lot of fun. It was interesting how it started. I got a call once from this guy Adam Gollner, who was writing for the Air Canada magazine, and he wanted to do a story on fruit tourism. So he came out and he talked to a bunch of people and hung out with me, and I made him plant a tree at my old farm, planted a lychee tree, and just to see what it was like. And he wrote this nice piece for the Air Canada magazine. And 5 years later, you know, I heard, oh, it's a book now called The Fruit Hunters, and somebody called me. They're thinking of making a movie. Is it all right if Tom Selleck plays you? Well, you know, geez, how can I argue with that? But anyway, then it turned into a documentary, and I got to play myself. We need, I want to turn this place into a fruit park. That's why there's 300 different types of fruit trees, so that, you know, we can take down the building on the main road, put up a restaurant, couple stores for locally made products, maybe a couple apartments, and have tours that come down. Now we've already given some sample tours, like there was a group from Shizuoka came through, the exchange group with the teenage kids. That was a lot of fun, and we get a fair number of people coming through and you know, just enjoying it. It's not ready to be opened by any way, shape, or form, but when the whole fruit park concept came from my trips to Japan, where they have big commercial fruit parks in Nagoya and at the base of Mount Fuji and Yamanashi, and one in Hamamatsu, which is 288 acres of fruit and greenhouses and an escalator up the side of the mountain. It's the world's longest escalator. And these, when the Rocky Mountain Institute came to Hawaii for the Kohala Center and Ulupono Initiative, they looked at what ideas would best help agriculture, and that was the top ideas to develop the fruit park. So I'm still working on it, and I've had people from JTB, Japan Travel Bureau, and others come out and look at it, and they just, you know, hurry up already. Well, okay, just give me about 50,000 and I can hurry up and put a foot of mulch on everything.
But you were looking at the in Japan at this, maybe it was persimmons or something, and they had 5,000 different ways that they presented persimmons, and so it's more like that kind of idea where you just.
Well, that's the museum. These fruit parks in Japan have these museums. So the picture you probably saw of persimmons was at Nagoya Togokuzan Fruit Park, and it's they have, you know, like the plastic food in the windows at the restaurants in Japan. These were the plastic persimmons made like each variety and showed the shape and color of each variety of persimmon that they grow, or a lot of them. There's hundreds, and most people don't realize that. You take a guess now. How many types of avocados you think there are?
On island?
Well, on island or worldwide, take your pick.
400.
Okay, so in that's not a bad guess for Hawaii. It's pretty accurate, but University of California, Riverside had 1,611 registered, and almost none of ours from Hawaii. So there are 200 ones that are grown and sold in Hawaii, plus a couple hundred seedlings and other ones from around the other islands that we don't really focus on in Kona. So ones that have developed for those specific microclimates on each island. And so yeah, 400 is a pretty accurate guess for just for the state.
No, I read that.
Oh.
On your side.
Oh, well, that's cheating, is it?
Yeah.
All right, how about mango then? How many mangoes?
Oh, well, see, I lived in India for many years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where in India?
Mostly, I've traveled all over, but I live in near Pondicherry.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Auroville.
No, I've been to Pondicherry actually.
Then you know Auroville, the international station?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I live.
Okay. Well, I'm usually in Bangalore and Kasaragod. So Kasaragod and Mangalore actually, which is not that long a drive from Pondicherry and Goa. It's a relative of Cherimoya and
Cherimoya, you know, that's what I mean. Yeah. Because it's like a sita fruit, custard apple.
Yeah. It's a relative of that, Rollinia deliciosa. It's where there's a lot of them being grown, and we have, we've gone through 1,000 trees that we've sold. But you never see them in stores because everybody who grows them, once they eat them, they just want to eat them. They don't want to sell them.